what I want to see, play against Opetaia.
Oh, okay.
You understand me? This is what I hope to have.
Same. I wish for this as well.
We need to see this fight. Before, in our generation, we see all the greatest fighters.
Heading towards that light at the end of the tunnel, you know, chasing that unification dream. And then once I've ticked that box, who knows what's next? You know what I mean? We either go heavyweight, we could get a super fight. Turki Alalshikh actually told me, we get this mandatory out of the way, we fight for the WBC.
Turki Alalshikh just fired back at David Benavidez Sr, and his response only added more fuel to the idea that the Benavidez-Opetaia fight could finally become a reality. Jai Opetaia, meanwhile, has made it clear that his sights are firmly set on becoming undisputed, and Benavidez could be the major obstacle standing directly in his path.
Here to chase fame or someone else, or, chase names for clout. I'm chasing undisputed. Even Benavidez, his name's only in the mix is because he's fighting for a Cruiserweight title. So if it wasn't fighting for a Cruiserweight title, it doesn't bother me. I don't chase names. I'm chasing legacy and undisputed, Not look at the last couple undisputed fighters. They're the goats of this sport. Right. You know what I mean? And I want my name up there, and I want my last name up there.
He weighed in on the Benavidez showdown, explaining why he sees the matchup as a natural fit at Cruiserweight and why it could become one of the biggest fights the division has to offer.
In Cruiserweight, and to me, it just makes sense. Like, if he's fighting for a world title in my division, why don't people want to see who the best is in the division? Like, it does not make sense to me if we don't fight. You know what I mean? Like, he's coming up fighting for a undisputed, like a unification fight, and he's going to be holding the WBO and WBA. It just doesn't make sense to me that we wouldn't fight. All I got to do is keep winning and keep doing my job.
Paulie Malignaggi isn't shying away from backing this one. He's convinced a Benavidez-Opetaia clash would be a genuine banger for the Cruiserweight division, but he's quick to add a caveat. Just how good that fight actually becomes could depend heavily on what happens first, with the Macaulay test likely shaping the entire conversation around it.
But about Benavidez, going back to the conversation on Benavidez, I think the answer is, I think you do see Opetaia and Benavidez, and I think that's a great Cruiserweight fight. That's a great Cruiserweight fight.
What do you see Opetaia? I think
but I want to. How good it's going to be is how good he looks against McKaylian. I worked McKaylian's fight against Badu Jack when he won the title.
But Max Kellerman complicates the hype, noting that while Opetaia holds the lineal crown as Cruiserweight king, Benavidez doesn't have that same distinction. It's not about talent, Kellerman argued. Benavidez has arguably performed at an elite level across multiple divisions, but has been denied certain championship opportunities. Still, Opetaia owns the clear championship resume and has the stronger proof inside the Cruiserweight division.
He also has the Ring Magazine belt. He is considered the lineal champion, the one and only legitimate Cruiserweight champion of the world. Now, as much as I love David Benavidez, and he's been ruthlessly ducked at 68 and 75, Benavidez has never been the champion, the actual champion of any division. It's not his fault. He hasn't been given the opportunity. He may have been the best fighter in multiple divisions, but he's never proven that he is the champion by beating the champ because he's been frozen out of those fights. The problem is Benavidez is now using...
Recent form is where Benavidez's case starts getting especially interesting. The level of opposition he's faced has helped build his confidence, and that's a major reason Teofimo sees him as the favorite heading into a potential fight with Opetaia. But that confidence doesn't automatically mean he has the stronger overall case.
And how'd you look in your last fight? And who you faced in your last fight? People forget like this. And I think that what Benavidez is probably going off of is the fact of who did he fight, Jai Opetaia, and who did David fight recently?
Actually, at Cruiserweight, David is much more... Benavidez might beat Opetaia, right? He'd be favored to do so. Yeah. I'm saying Opetaia is a much more accomplished Cruiserweight.
Yeah.
Opetaia, they stressed, remains the far more accomplished operator specifically within the Cruiserweight ranks, where his championship experience and dominance give him a strong case. But when the conversation shifted towards star power, the picture changed. From a business perspective, Benavidez's name recognition and marketability far exceed Opetaia's, creating a clear split between boxing merit and commercial appeal when it comes to deciding who deserves the bigger spotlight.
Benavidez, boxing-wise, much more accomplished.
And
Zurdo, yeah.
We talking boxing-wise, but if you ask the...
Business you're talking about.
Business-wise, like you ask, everybody don't even know who Jai is. We know because we in the boxing world, but everybody know who that. Everybody know who he with Tyson today. He's with Floyd tomorrow. He's a big draw.
No question. And all I'm saying is,
silencing the doubters, Tim Bradley isn't wavering from his stance. Benavidez gets the job done in his eyes. He credits Opetaia's sharp footwork and boxing IQ, but Bradley believes the champion can still be lured into a straight-up brawl, the exact kind of fight where Benavidez thrives against durable opposition.
Well, David Benavidez beat Jai Opetaia. Hell yeah, he beat Opetaia. Oh, I'ma double down. He gonna beat Opetaia. I double down on that one. He gonna beat Opetaia. See, Opetaia got good feet. Yeah, he can box, but he can be drugged into a fight. And if you know anything about David Benavidez, just like he did with Ramirez, he's the one of those guys that's gonna test your heart. He gonna test what you have in here. And once he go to Jai, he tests what he has in here, Jai gonna lose. Jai ain't gonna be boxing and moving around. Jai gonna be looking to fight.
Digging deeper into what makes Benavidez so dangerous, Bradley points to his ability to test an opponent's willpower under constant pressure. Once Benavidez disrupts Opetaia's boxing rhythm, Bradley expects the champion's movement to begin breaking down, leaving him increasingly exposed as the rounds pile up against that relentless pace.
Get tired too. Yeah, because Jai, if you look at the history of Jai Opetaia, he get tired. Yes, he gets tired, period. And I stand on that.
Speed is one thing, but Bradley is convinced Benavidez's pressure is an entirely different beast. He points to Opetaia's history of fading in grueling, extended battles as the real red flag, arguing that this vulnerability could line up perfectly with the non-stop, high-output attack Benavidez consistently brings into every fight.
As you saw, yes, he can make it work for himself, yes. You know, dipping, getting outside, body shot here, dipping this way, body shot, you know, putting them motorboat combinations on his ass, putting them combinations on his opponent, you know. Hey, single right hand, straight left hook. Oh, David is sweet. Them fast ass hands, he is sweet with it. But when we talking about a bigger fighter, somebody's been reigning at heavyweight, somebody that's, has to be perfect or had to be perfect when he faced.
Coach Breadman also explains exactly why he backed Benavidez against nearly anyone in the division. Yet he views Opetaia as a completely different puzzle, pointing specifically to the champion's size, explosive bursts, and tricky angles that come naturally from fighting out of a southpaw stance against someone like Benavidez.
Tired because he's such a big guy and he's explosive, but I'm more comfortable picking David to beat him. The one guy that I think will give David some real trouble is Usyk at heavyweight. I don't know if he can beat Usyk, but the rest of the guys, I think he can beat him.
Okay. Yeah, because Opetaia said that he'll see him soon. Congratulations, champ. People have been talking about that matchup because he is a full, cruiserweight that's athletic.
Breaking down the athleticism further, Breadman draws a clear distinction between Opetaia and someone like Zurdo, describing him as a sharper, more explosive athlete with genuine snap behind his punches. He argues that this combination of speed and power demands a completely different level of caution, preparation, and respect from what Benavidez has typically faced throughout his career.
Big, fast, and explosive. And David has good defense, but he's not unhittable. So the fact that David started out at 168 and Opetaia started out at 200, Opetaia, I didn't think Zurdo could do anything with David because he's just too slow getting off, man. You know what I mean? Like, everything is not about speed, man, but when the speed difference is that big, you gotta have some kind of like masterful timing or jab or something to offset that. He's just too slow. Opetaia not slow like that.
Widening the lens, Max Kellerman frames this potential matchup as nothing short of an undisputed caliber event. He tips his cap to Opetaia's standing as the division's Ring Magazine title holder. Yet, despite that pedigree, both Kellerman and Devin Haney find themselves leaning in the same direction, Benavidez walking in as the man to beat against the Ring Magazine champion.
The Ring Magazine champ, he got the Zuffa belt, that's true. He's considered the Cruiserweight champ, and clearly Benavidez is now the man, the name in the division. I think, Devin, that Benavidez would be favored to beat anyone in the division, probably the betting favorite, including Opetaia.
100%. I think he would definitely have to be. I think, like I said, this is, something we've never seen in the Cruiserweight division. So I like Jai. I think that he's a good fighter, but I think that Benavidez is just a great fighter.
According to Benavidez's recent performances, they highlight tools rarely seen at Cruiserweight, the kind that could create serious stylistic problems for anyone standing across the ring. The group keeps circling back to one nagging question: could the combination of Benavidez's size, speed, and relentless combination punching simply be too much for Opetaia to have a handle?
that that's a competitive fight? Do you think it goes a lot of rounds? Do you think it's a fight of the year type of fight?
Yeah, I think that it's a very competitive fight because, you know, Jai, he has speed, he has power, he has experience, and he's been at the weight. But like I said, I just think that Benavidez is levels above him.
It's probably too much, though. I think Benavidez is probably too much for Jai. Jai is nice, though, right? And as he said on the tweet, puff, pass, he wants the smoke. Only thing is the smoke you asked him for, it's a lot. You talk about size, you talk about speed, combinations, you talk about power. But you talk about...
Taking it a step further, Kellerman places Benavidez's hand speed and relentless output in a class usually reserved for the sport's elite, a level he questions whether Opetaia has ever truly been tested against. It's a rare comparison to make, and whenever that kind of assessment enters the conversation, it can completely reshape expectations for how this fight could actually unfold.
And there on crossing platforms and everything, is there any part of that where it gives it a little bit of difficult way of making the fight happen?
I think when there's enough money there in a fight and people are interested enough, fights get made. But I want to say something about Benavidez, who I still think is one of the most ducked fighters ever in boxing. And why? He's had a lot of big fights. Because I don't care what alphabet you have. To me, there's one champ. When you were an alphabet champ, I told you, you got mad at me because I didn't call you champion because you had a belt. Then you became champion. You became an actual champion.
I even
That's
called him
different.
email champion.
You were, I never...
Continuing his breakdown, Coach Bredman frames Opetaia as genuinely elite athlete, young and dangerous because of his physical tools. While he credits Benavidez's skill and defensive instincts, Bredman insists that caution is non-negotiable here, pointing to Benavidez's past struggles against powerful physical opposition like Morrell as a cautionary reference point.
And he's young, and he's mean, and he's going to be fighting hard. I think David might know a little bit too much for him. I think he might be a little bit too skillful for him and be a little bit too slick. But his raw athleticism and punching power is something David going to have to be careful with. Remember the Morrell fight where David was winning rounds, but Morrell was shaking David up because he was big and he was strong and he was like physical with him. He was shaking David up with some punches, if you remember that fight.
Extending that comparison further, Bredman weighs Opetaia directly against Morrell, calling the champion both bigger and marginally sharper from a technical standpoint. That's a rare combination, especially with Opetaia potentially carrying roughly 25 extra pounds into the fight. Even so, Bredman doesn't completely abandon his original assessment, suggesting Benavidez's slickness could still prove too difficult to overcome. Still, that enormous size gap remains impossible to ignore.
He was shaking David up with some punches, if you remember that fight. It wasn't a thing where Morrell was winning more rounds than he was, but it was like a danger, like, yo, I just can't do what I want to do with this guy because he's so big and he's so strong and he's fighting back. Well, Opetaia is bigger than Morrell and he's a little better.
A little better, huh?
Yeah, I think he's a little bit better than Morrell.
Okay.
Yeah. Not a lot, but I think he's a little better. And he's 25 pounds bigger.
Yeah.
Taking his stance, Sergio Moore breaks down the anticipated matchup, arguing that Opetaia may actually be the more dangerous man here. He points to his natural size, raw power, and elite footwork as key advantages, believing Benavidez could struggle to find a real answer regardless of how impressive his resume looks on paper.
Benavidez an underdog against Opetaia. Do you really mean that? Like, are you
100%.
Okay, why? Explain that, please.
Same reason I made Benavidez a favorite against Zurdo. I made Benavidez a favorite against Canelo. I know what I'm watching. Opetaia is stronger. Pound for pound in punching, Opetaia punches a lot harder with one single shot than Benavidez. He's a harder, heavy-handed puncher. He's a southpaw. He has better feet than Benavidez. He's just as mean as Benavidez. That will be violent, man. That fight will be...
Jumping into the exchange, Chris Manx and Moore dig into Benavidez's hand speed and his ability to close distance quickly. Moore doesn't dispute Benavidez's elite pedigree, but he refuses to budge on the other side of the equation. Opetaia's awkward southpaw angles and heavy hands, he insists, create problems that most fighters in the division simply aren't built to solve.
Jai Opetaia is as mean as Benavidez?
100%. Oh, man, yes. Look at the look in his eyes every time he does an interview. We've interviewed him. He doesn't smile.
All right, I'm not talking about the interview stuff. I'm not talking about the interview stuff. I'm talking about in the ring. Like Benavidez
is a mean dude. He's a mean dude. Yes. Look, I'm a fighter. You're not. I see what the hell I'm seeing whenever I'm around Jai Opetaia. This is violent, man. And he has heavy hands and he has quick feet. And he does it from that left-handed stance. Opetaia will beat Benavidez if they ever fight. That's just my early prediction. I think Benavidez is top pound for pound.
Pushing back, Manx admits that Opetaia has the tools, but questions whether he has truly proven them against elite competition. He points to a faded Marcus Brown as Opetaia's signature win and notes the shaky performance that followed in Australia. Moore counters by giving Benavidez full credit for his genuine greatness, though even he concedes that Opetaia's footwork remains a serious threat that cannot be overlooked.
I can see what you're seeing. I can see the tools. I just haven't seen him implement them against great fighters. His best wins have come against one guy, and that was the faded version of Maurice Breedis. Since then, he has not fought top guys. He has been clipped when he fought his last fight in Australia, took some shots in that fight, and couldn't get Brandon Glanton out of there. So, like, I think he's a good fighter. I just have not seen greatness from him yet. I've seen greatness from David Benavidez at 168, less so at 175 because he only stayed there for 3 fights at a time, and then straight up to cruiserweight to fight Zurdo Ramirez. I think the hand speed would be a big...
Turning to the harder truth, A. Oladipo doesn't sugarcoat it. He sees Opetaia as a dangerous fighter with quicker feet and sharper movement than Zurdo ever showed. He pushes back hard against anyone assuming Benavidez will simply walk through him, pointing to Opetaia's southpaw skills as reason enough to view this as a legitimate coin flip fight.
That mistake. Opetaia's a killer as well. He's a killer. And unlike Zurdo, Opetaia has fast hands and fast feet. Opetaia's hand speed, it's not as fast as Benavidez, but it's respectable. His feet are better than Benavidez's. He's a southpaw. So don't start to, Benavidez runs through Opetaia. No. I'm not doing that. Not doing that. Does not run through him at all. That's a fucking fight.
Surprising even himself, Odd admits that his own breakdown has pushed him toward Benavidez despite the dangers Opetaia presents. After weighing the matchup, he gives Benavidez a slim edge, but makes it clear that this isn't a confident pick. In his view, the two fighters are remarkably close, making this a tightly contested matchup where either man could ultimately find a way to win.
I honestly don't know who wins out of him and Opetaia, you know? I feel like he might be able to get to Opetaia. I can't believe I'm saying this. I think he might beat Opetaia. I think he could beat Bivol as well. I'm not joking, I think he could beat them both. I think I'd make him favourite. Say, if those matchups were made today, I'd make him favourite on both of them. Marginal favourite. 55-45 in the Opetaia fight.
Shifting the focus from technique to pure grit, Bruce Carrington doesn't discount Opetaia's talent for a second, but when it's time to pick a winner, he sides with Benavidez, calling him simply the meaner fighter of the two. For Carrington, it comes down to more than skill on paper. It's about who is willing to impose their will when the fight gets uncomfortable and the pressure reaches its highest point.
Is his kryptonite, and they would beat him.
I feel like you gotta. Okay, Opetaia, right? Let me touch base on him. I think that Benavidez is the superior fighter when it comes to Opetaia. Like, Opetaia, he's good. I like Opetaia, but Benavidez, he's badass, bro. Oh my gosh, like, he's mean. I really like Benavidez in that fight.
Breaking down the mechanics, Daryl zeroes in on Benavidez's hand speed as the real problem solver. His combinations come together so quickly that defending them cleanly can become a nightmare. It's a trait Darrell sees as the single biggest factor tipping the tactical scales whenever this matchup with Opetaia is seriously discussed.
Without for me, and then there's always that puncher's chance, but David has great defense. He doesn't have the legs that I want him to have, but he has great speed on his punches. Speed is going to be the biggest factor because the feet will meet in this fight, right? And when they do, it's who's faster, who's smarter, and, who can get off with the quicker shots, shorter shots. And David has a great ability in the inside.
Calling it a genuine coin flip, Darrell frames the fight around energy management just as much as skill. Opetaia, he argues, has to stay razor sharp and disciplined with his footwork throughout the fight. Meanwhile, Benavidez needs to sustain that relentless, almost mechanical output across all 12 rounds for his pressure-heavy approach to hold up.
If I had to pick I'm going to say 50-50, right? I think Jai will make the mistake of being there because he's great with the feet, but he has to be keen. He got to be precise. He got to be calculated with his feet when he get in there with David. It's like, when you get in front of David, man, you want to make him miss. You want to stay out the way. You want to preserve your energy or build up the energy needed to go for 12 rounds, first round, or the 12th round, just like the first, right? And that's not like saying you Superman, but no, We see fighters.
Even monsters have blind spots, though. Beryl doesn't hold back when discussing Benavidez's biggest flaw, arguing that his footwork lags behind the rest of his tools. If Opetaia leans into his mobility and controls the distance intelligently, Daryl believes that weakness could become a serious problem for Benavidez as the fight unfolds.
He is full of energy, man, but he's technically flawed. David has no feet whatsoever. Period, point blank, man. And don't need them at this point. And once he gets in there with someone who's willing to use their feet, then he's going to see where he needs to capitalize with his feet. So, man, I refuse to pick. This is one of the ones I want to be right with, because if I had to pick, and I feel like I want to tell you, but I'm not going to do it.
David Benavidez himself isn't waiting around. He's calling out Jai Opetaia directly, making it clear that this is the fight he wants next, with both men now sitting at the center of the Cruiserweight conversation. The tension is only building, and Benavidez knows exactly what Opetaia brings to the table.
I mean, I think that's the biggest fight in the world, especially at this weight division. You know, and that's definitely a fight I want. Like I said, I'm not scared of nobody. This is Monstro's world. And if he wants to get that fight, we get that fight. I don't know why he went to Zuffa.
The picture around this fight keeps getting clearer with every voice weighing in. Whenever Jai Opetaia and David Benavidez finally meet, it won't be a quiet night. For the Cruiserweight division, this isn't just another fight. It's the kind of matchup that could determine who truly runs the division. If you're enjoying the breakdown, make sure to subscribe and stay locked in, because when Benavidez and Opetaia collide, you'll want to be here for every update.